Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, I will give you my NBA fact or fiction. 8 statements, whether they're true or not. Everything from the Lakers to the Nets to the troublesome Kyrie Irving, and even a little bit of Knicks talk as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, so we're back. We talked about Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons. Now, let's talk a little NBA fact or fiction, shall we? So, I'm going to give you about 8 statements, and then I'll give it to you whether it's fact or fiction. I'll explain. So, let's get into it. So, statement number 1. With the Lakers at 1-5, if things don't improve, they will have a fire sale. In other words, they'll trade everyone. And I kind of alluded to it back when I was talking about Russell Westbrook and his struggles. If I'm Jeannie Buss, I gotta consider that. Gotta consider that. The team seems like it's getting older. LeBron puts another candle on the birthday cake. He's up there. AD, his injury struggles and so forth. How long do you want to ride this train? Russell Westbrook, you only have him for this year, so at least you would think he's a tradable piece, but they're trying to do it in off season and couldn't. So I think at this point, Jeannie Buss has to be rolling that around in her mind. I know about LeBron breaking Kareem's record and so forth, but I think at this point, sometimes you just got to cash in your chips. So, do you let him break the record in a Laker uniform and then trade him? Maybe you could do that. This way, it's done by 2 Lakers breaking the record. Because remember, Kareem, he did it back when he was a Laker and so forth. So you could do that, and then, because the way it shakes out, he could break it before the All-Star break. If things go right. So, we'll see. In any event, so that's something I think she should at least consider at this point. I don't think it's any fault of Darvin Ham. It's just a bad fitting roster. You don't have shooters to space the floor. We know Russ ain't it. Patrick Beverly, he is not. Kendrick Nunn, he is not. Lonnie Walker, I do like. I like him. I like Lonnie Walker. I think he will get opportunities, especially when some of these guys sit. He'll be able to get his offense on those days. But all in all, this is a clunky roster, and I think Jeannie Buss should consider stripping it down. So I say it has a tinge of fact to it. If Jeannie Buss is thinking logically about the situation as a whole. So, all right, so statement number 2. Standing at 1-5, another team, the Nets. Steve Nash won't make it to Thanksgiving as Nets coach. I want to say it's fiction. I think the reason I say that is because if you do it, then you kind of sending a message that the higher help is running the establishment. In other words, remember, Kevin Durant in the offseason which was weird because he went from defending Steve Nash right after the Boston series to trashing the guy about a month later, which was bizarre. In any event, so we know Kevin Durant in the offseason said that he should go and Sean Marks should go. So if you were to let Nash go so quick, so early, I think it would send the wrong message to the rest of the players that yeah, you guys have say. Although, quote unquote, you think they would, but you're given the impression that they do now. So I'm gonna say it's I want it to be fiction, but it's possible it could be fact too. If they let the Durant win in this situation, who, by the way, you do have signed for the next 4 seasons. So Kyrie, we know, didn't sign the extension. Well, he wasn't offered it. Let me say that. So it wasn't like he refused it. So, yeah. So I think I would want it to be fiction. Let me put it that way. So that's how I'm gonna answer that one. Next is statement number 3. Don't be surprised if the league steps in to suspend Kyrie Irving for his Twitter activity of late. I think this could be a fact. We all know, we've all heard about Kyrie. I don't want to use the word promote because he jumped Nick Friedel the other day for saying that. But he passed on information which was many deem as anti-Semitic about a book, a film, what have you. So once you start wading in those waters, it's kind of hard to get yourself out of those waters. We've seen it with other celebrities just as recent as Kanye West and the backlash he got. So once you start wading in that area there, it's a slippery slope. And then let's say we wake up tomorrow and they lose an advertiser over this. And then another follows, and another follows. You're talking about business now. So they're going to have to do something. The only thing, and I agree with a lot of folks, Dennis Scott said it, also Shannon Sharp on Undisputed, he said it, that Joe Tsai, when he made his statement, I think he should have talked to Kyrie first before he put out the statement. I do agree with that. So this way it doesn't look like you're ambushing the guy. So, which gets me back to Kyrie. You guys hear me talk about him all the time. I call him a conspiracy theorist. That's what he is. That's exactly what it is. So much so, I have a team that, well, in fantasy, where I wasn't at the draft and I ended up with him on my team. So I just named the team the Conspiracy Theorists. So it is what it is. But you know him. You know he's Mr. Flat Earth. He's Mr. No Vaccine for me, which, that's fine. Although, if your business requires it of you, I think you have a kind of a duty to obey the rules of your business. But who am I to say? In any event, and this guy, he comes off as he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. That's another thing with him. He thinks he's the smartest guy. He thinks outside the box. He's this brilliant genius of sorts, and that he's above it all. That's his problem right there. So So now you're going to have this clash between him and management. Management is already ticked with him as is. The fact that they didn't even give an extension tells you all you need to know there. I don't think this ends pretty for Brooklyn. I really don't. I don't think this situation as a whole ends pretty. So, we'll see. We'll see who's the last man standing when the season is said and done. But I say one of those three guys won't make it till the end of the season. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, or Steve Nash. One of those three won't make it to the end of the season for the Nets. I'd be stunned if all three of those guys are standing at the end being with Brooklyn. So with that, I say, yeah, I think that it's factual. Once businesses start departing from Brooklyn, I think that the screams will get louder and louder. And then once you get organizations like the Anti-Defamation League and other groups, once you start getting them involved, then everything will end up snowballing. So I say it's true. All right, so that's the third statement there. Let's move on. Statement number 4. Both the San Antonio Spurs and the Utah Jazz are 5-2 currently, which is 3rd and 4th in the West. Both will remain among the top 6 in the West. I gotta say that's false. I know they look good so early so far, much to the chagrin of Danny Ainge. Utah has played well, and you gotta give credit to the young coach over there, Will Hardy, who's doing a pretty good job coming out the gate. So, big credit to him. And then, of course, Popovich is Popovich. So, but these were two teams that everybody was talking about would be in, tanking to get the French kid. But I tell you what, they're playing well. They're playing well coming out the gate. Can they maintain this in the rough and tumble West? I doubt it. So I gotta say it's fiction. And I'll go as far as to say I think both teams will not be in the top 6. Both teams. So, yeah. So, I mean, again, they're playing well. Guys like Kendon Johnson, was coming on late last season as it was, and he's been hot coming out the gate here for the San Antonio Spurs. Then you have Utah. Remember those guys they brought in? Laurie Marketing, who's playing well. Colin Sexton is slowly getting his legs back. Of course, you have a Jordan Clarkson, who's always firepower when it comes to offense. Kelly Olynyk, who's holding it down at center. So, yeah. So, they're playing well. I got to say that. So, but I don't think they can withstand the onslaught that the West can bring. So I'll say false. All right, so that statement is down. Statement number 5. Miami is 2-5. Watch the Kyle Lowry for Russell Westbrook trade rumors get louder. I say that's true. That's true. It seems like the Kyle Lowry's fit with the Miami Heat is kind of dissipating a bit. So it seems like Miami needs kind of a kick in the pants. So you bring in a guy like Westbrook. It'll probably cost you Lowry, maybe Duncan Robinson. Maybe that'll get it done to get him. Maybe even a young guy like their draft pick, Nikola Jovic, something like that. So, to make the money match up and all those things. So, although I think just Lowry and Duncan makes the numbers work. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, and then the Lakers will get kind of a professional point guard there, a guy who can shoot. He has his efficiency issues, but he's a much better shooter than Westbrook. He knows how to run an offense, so he can play off the ball. Lowry can play off the ball. He's proven that in his career. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's fact. I think you'll start to hear that. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. So, I think that remains to be seen. But definitely that's something that can happen. Statement number 6. Dame Lillard is now the front runner for the MVP. The league MVP. I say it's sort of true, although he's just recently got hurt. But he's only be out a couple of weeks, so that's no big deal. I'll be interested to see how they do with him out of the lineup. But Dame so far has been great for them. Their team right now is actually they're 5-1. So Dame is Dame. When Dame is healthy, he's among the top 5 point guards in the NBA. No questions asked. The man is clutch. And the man just needs help. That's all. And seemed like so far so good in terms of the help that he's getting with the Blazers. So, and of course, Jusuf Nurkic, you gotta have him healthy. And he is so far. So, is he the front runner? I'd say no, not the front runner, but his name has to be discussed amongst those in the running. I still lean heavy towards Luka Doncic. I believe that so far he's scored 30 points, above 30 points per game in his first 5 games. No other Dallas Maverick has done that. He leads the league in scoring. Giannis is Giannis, of course. His team is undefeated, so you got to always have Giannis in the discussion, Antetokounmpo. And actually, Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is slowly in that conversation. His team is 5-1. So this is early, a lot can change as the season progresses. So, but right now, I would say it's about 4 guys that's in the running. Maybe a 5th if you want to add Devin Booker, who's playing well also. So, yeah. So, but again, very early to say. So I would say false. He's not the front runner. No. So, all right. So, statement number 7. Right now, it's neck and neck between Paolo Banchero and Benedict Mathurin for Rookie of the Year. This is fact. Banchero has been great coming out the gate for the Orlando Magic. He's played very well. And Benedict Mathurin, I think it's just a matter of time. Once you move some pieces around, preferably a Buddy Hield moves on to greener pastures. Once you do that and insert Ben Mathurin in that lineup there, I think he's going to be a problem. He's going to be an absolute problem. So I say this is 100% true. I think both of these guys are playing well right now. Jaden Ivey is still trying to get a feel for the NBA game. It's early, and some other guys as well. I think these 2 guys are standing out thus far. So I would say this is a true statement. And then the last one concerning my Knicks. After getting beat thoroughly by Donovan Mitchell in the Cleveland Cavaliers, a game in which Donovan Mitchell scored 38 points. He shot 2 of 20 from the field, 8 of 13 from 3. Good gracious. Whew. 12 assists even. 3 rebounds, 2 blocks for him. And also Kevin Love comes to life as well. But then that's a whole nother story. But in any event, after getting thoroughly beat by the Cavaliers, the Knicks will panic and make a trade that they may regret. So, we all know the talk in the offseason was that there was these trade talks going on with Donovan Mitchell. He's supposed to come home. He's supposed to come back to New York. He's grew up in the area. His father, of course, works for the Mets, so that you got that connection there. And it just would have been fitting for him to come back home. Problem was, Danny Ainge was holding the Knicks over a barrel. He kept changing the package, adding more and more draft picks to the package. And it just seemed like he just seemed disingenuous with what he was trying to do. So the Knicks said, you know what? We'll just take our ball and go home, and the deal didn't get done. And then moments later, Cleveland comes in with a package, which is, again, I say it was a far lesser package than what the Knicks offered. And in doing that, they got the player. So with that said, will the Knicks panic? First of all, let's establish who's out there. I know there's always been the Devin Booker rumblings. I don't think Booker's going anywhere. That team is playing well right now, so I don't think that's going to be a factor at all. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that's a name that has been bandied around locally amongst the fan base, and that was bandied about after the Donovan Mitchell deal went flat. So that's one I could see possibly coming to fruition. The kid looks good so far. He looks good. Will he cost you as much? Probably not. But OKC is in the business of collecting draft picks as is, and the Knicks can help them plenty with that. So, and also they can give them the young talent they're looking for. So, I could see that happening for the Knicks. And he's a guy who could play on the ball and off the ball. So, I would bear watch to that. Karl Anthony Towns, I don't think that's a possibility at all. I understand, I get it. You know, you got Mitchell Robinson here, who he's flashed a bit in these first few games. He didn't play all that well against the Cavaliers the other night. So, yeah, but I don't think that works. We've seen the Tibbs and Karl Anthony Towns connection in Minnesota, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out all that great there. So I don't see it coming to fruition here. And the reason the name is even out there is because of some offhanded remark he made about his teammate Anthony Edwards and him with Popeye's fried chicken. It's just ridiculous. But of course, you know, that leads some in the Knicks fan base to say, "Oh, maybe he'll get traded." No, that ain't happening. And definitely not to the Knicks. That's out. Draymond Green. Interesting situation there. Right now, Warriors are struggling a bit. You saw Klay Thompson sitting down. He's still you still want to load manage him, given the knee surgeries he's had. And I know Barkley took shots at that team just last week, saying that they're old. Father Time is not going to their door. Clay's not the same player. Draymond isn't either. But in which Clay was distraught over that comment because the man, to his credit, has had multiple knee surgeries. So obviously he's not going to be the same player. But even with the player he was still able to help the Warriors get another title. So yeah, Barkley. I do agree. Barkley should slow this roll with that. I understand the sentiment. I think the sentiment more is to get the younger players more involved if you want to keep this thing going. That part I understand, but taking shots at these guys getting older, whereas injuries really played a part with Clay, is another story. But I kind of digress here. Draymond Green, we know about the fight he had with Jordan Poole. It seems like bygones are bygones, but again, I say, and I said it in the season preview, Jordan Poole secured his bag, so did Andrew Wiggins. So where does that leave Draymond Green? I feel this is his last season in Golden State. Whether he makes it through the season, where they running back with everybody, we'll see. But I think he doesn't make it out of season. So with that said, could the Knicks panic and make a move for him, meaning that you need a guy who's kind of a vocal leader, kind of a guy who can, who guys can follow. He's a guy who does the dirty work and all those sort of things. Do I see the Knicks doing that? I think it'd be a long shot, but I wouldn't rule it out. So that there's that, and then the last person I'll say is Russell Westbrook, because everybody's trying. He's the guy that seems like he stays in the trade rumors. So could the Knicks do it? And you bring in Westbrook, and then you have now, which would change Brunson's role drastically. It'll be basically the same role he's had in Dallas, where he plays kind of off the ball, yet can play on the ball when needed. So Russell Westbrook, to his credit, I give him credit for this. It seems like his defense has gotten better this season. He's bearing down when it comes to defense. So I give him credit there. So, but again, that's a desperation move that would get the New York media in a frenzy and ready to kill the Knicks over that. So that would be one where the media would kill the Knicks if they did that. So depending on what you give up to. So, but all of that to say, will they panic and make a move that they regret? I say that's fiction. I could see them making a move, but I think it'll be one where the fit makes sense, the trade makes sense, and you're not totally unloading all your draft capital to get the person. So I see that as a possibility. So, all right, guys. So that's going to do it for that. So, again, guys, I know I promised that women's basketball episode. I'm going to do that. I want to get some player spotlights underway as well as we begin this journey for this season. Again, it's a few guys I want to highlight, so we'll probably get to that. So, with that said, all right, guys, I'm going to cut it off there. Actually, I think I'm going to end up separating this episode. So I think I'll just do these in 2 separate episodes. So look at that. Producing on the fly. Go figure. All right, guys. So thanks once again for listening to the All Things Basketball with GD podcast with your boy GD. And we always appreciate you. Much thanks, guys. And we'll talk soon. So, my peeps, if you like what you're listening to, you can go to my website, www.allthingsbasketballwithgd.com. You can also email me at thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. To support this podcast, you can go to my PayPal, and that email is thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. Also on my Anchor page, I have a support button there that you can also use to help the podcast. I'm on all the major platforms like Anchor, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon, SoundCloud, YouTube, Castbox, Radio Public, Podchaser, just to name a few. And also you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, and Fanbase. So once again, I thank you for listening and supporting this podcast, and take care and be safe.